What is going on, garden fans? Welcome back to the Permaculture Homestead. Go grab the kids, grab a loved one, kick back and relax. Enjoy today's long-winded permaculture food forest update, where I'm going to answer all types of questions, especially one about overwintering moringa in Zone 8, South Carolina. If you're wondering that it's possible, yes, it is possible. I was able to overwinter my moringa here in Zone 8. So that and all types of other little interesting tidbits I'm going to be sharing with you today. Enjoy the journey. Okay, garden fans, I'm going to go ahead, take my time, kind of walk around here, explain a couple things, show you a couple cool things. But the food forest is really looking good this part of the year. I got my rabbit poop veggie plot way over there. You can see it's blowing up. We'll get around to that. And I'll kind of end here on my Zone 1 veggie garden. Real quick shout out to Jim, the Midwest gardener. Took his advice last year on IPM using just a little moth catch. And I'm able to... Whoa! Got a salamander in there today. I need to let him out. So I've taken Jim's advice and used, oh geez, I used a bucket here filled with water, and then I put, wow, got him. And then I put a light, obviously a light to catch moths. So what it does is the moths come in, they get zapped, they drop into my bucket, and I'm able to analyze, you know, what kind of pests are on my homestead. So right now, a lot of beetles, a lot of different types of moths. I can't ID them all right now, but this was a really good idea to add to, you know, my pest control here on the homestead site. Real easy, $20 bug zapper and a bucket of water. Thanks so much, Jim, Midwest gardener. Great idea. I would encourage anybody to add that to an integrated pest management on their homestead. Wow, what a great way to start the day there. Just saved a skink. I've got this great Zone 1, and it's Zone 1 because it's right on the back door here, garden. And of course, I'm sure if you're watching my photos on Facebook, you see that I'm harvesting chamomile every day. I love it. I store this herb for the whole year, so it's a really fun time of year that these are growing, and I'm harvesting, and I'm storing for the winter. Poppies, all of them are about ready to start putting out some pretty good poppy heads here. So keep in touch for that little bit. Of course, my understory of chervil is coming up. I do like chervil, nice chocolate flavored herb. Be careful, looks very much like hemlock, so really know how to identify your umbelliferae. Goji berry I have are flowering. I've also got a small veggie plot here in the middle of all of that. That's got a lot of my kitchen veggies. We've got peppers, basil that are really starting to blow up, more peppers. Got some eggplant in the back here with more basil. There was a squash volunteer that was up in my compost, more peppers, and then of course companion plants like clover and carrots and marigold, all here to help with pest and disease resistance. I'm harvesting peas every day. The peas are just about dead and gone. They are starting to show me a little bit of mildew, powdery mildew, but I am very quickly harvesting the peas. They're just about at the end. I've had a really good time using them as a companion for my goji. And Heidi over at Rain County, she's got some gojis coming on, and this is what the flowers are going to look like, Heidi. Really nice blue flowers, and I like how they contrast with the rose campion I got planted here as a companion. So a really nice flower companion to go with the goji berry. Really like the rose campion and the goji flowers, very similar in color and style. So it's been a nice edging to have here, kind of a barrier to keep my goji berry from spreading out into the yard. So that's the Zone 1 garden. Of course, I have all types of weeds growing as a border crop around many of my veggie areas. I love the colors this time of year. I've got this red clover, the yellow, and then the blue weed here. I don't even remember what this is. I forgot the name of it. But I leave it, I let these weeds grow, and then I let some weeds grow on the homestead because the bees forage on them. It gives me some good bee forage that's pretty hardy and lasts all year. In this whole apple polyculture plot, I have veggies growing here as well, and they're gonna kind of blow out. Of course, more basil, peppers, and eggplant. I've gone really heavy on the basil, pepper, and eggplant this year. That's something that we eat a lot of, and no worse for the wear growing it. Pretty hardy plants. Pineapple guava, and my yarrow is starting to flower up on me. So a lot of mixed plantings. This is once again the whole idea of the food forest. This is tansy, an inedible herb. I use it as pest control. Fava beans all over the property are really starting to produce. So every fava bean I planted is putting on a good couple pods, and I'm really not sure when we should harvest them, if I should harvest them fresh and eat them fresh, or if I should wait to let them dry and then we have dry beans. So leave a comment below, share with me how you harvest and eat your fava beans. I'm interested to hear. Whole food forest looking beautiful. So much going on, and I'm really more impressed with this area here, this whole border edging along my footpath, because it's developed a lot in the last year. Of course, my potato pots I grow consecutively and they're looking good. I've got a group of 4 here that might be ready to harvest, and then there's another group right behind them, probably a couple weeks behind, and then I got another group of potato pots further up the pathway here. So I've currently trying to create this living border with the artichoke and the parsley. At the same time that that's developing, I'm using the potato pots as kind of a rhizome barrier to keep my things, like to keep the blackberry from spreading into my footpaths. So blackberry's coming up. We got new canes of blackberry. Elderberry here is starting to flower. We're not going to be hurting for elderberry this year. I never really do. And underneath all of this are my really tender herbs that really don't like a whole lot of direct sun, things like lavender and rosemary. So they're a good ground cover for these taller shrub layer. Looking really good. Oh, great update everybody on the Moringa. I got Moringa to overwinter in Zone 8, South Carolina. This is a Moringa. It's coming back from the root of the one that I grew last year, and I have another one on site that's doing the same thing. Right next to this is some anise hyssop, another chocolate flavored herb, and there's more peppers and basil and peppers and eggplant in this little patch right here, the secret little keyhole garden by my peach polyculture here. So polyculture is just that. It's just putting a lot of different plants together that have mutually beneficial roles with each other. Obviously the fava beans, of course, producing more. I've been very slowly pruning out heads of romaine, Paris Island, romaine lettuce. And once again, go follow us on Facebook. I do harvest every day. We're all about self-sufficiency gardening. I do like to feed us at least 1 meal a day out of this food forest. Pineapple guava this year are really coming back strong. I'm proud of that. I'm happy for that. And my longevity spinach, Gynera procumbens. Just a quick update on those. Both of the cuttings that I rooted this winter are now in the landscape and thriving pretty well, actually. As always, they suffered a little transplant shock, but they're coming back. Their leaves are greening up on me, and they're looking pretty good. So there's that. Let me step over into another veggie area here where I've got a whole ground cover of carrots that are a support species for peas that are trellised up here next to my elderberry. And once again, they're all suffering from a little powdery mildew. It's just bound and determined to happen even with disease-resistant varieties. So another couple days here, what I'm going to end up doing is pulling out all the peas and then replanting some beans, some Congo beans or some green beans for the summer. So let me back up again. Let me get back on the pathway. There's a couple other things I really wanted to touch on really quick today. Let me step over here. I never really get to this. But on the right here, I have hardy kiwi that I've planted this year. It's kind of looking a little dead, but I hope that it comes back. And then we've got the autumn olive and blueberry guild here. So they're all looking pretty good. In the back, I've got a nice looking rose bush that has, of course, come and putting on flowers. And I've companion planted this rose bush with a whole bunch of borage. Love borage. We eat borage too. It's got a cucumber taste. Staying on this side, my grapevine planted last year is this year really starting to take off. So I'm really impressed, and this is looking really promising. More anise hyssop, a little more mature. Fava beans, parsley. So the companions are looking really good. The mulberry tree I got here that I thought was dead, well, it did die, but I'm getting some new growth at the root stock itself. So maybe by the end of this year, these two shoots coming from the root will end up turning back into a bush. I'm hoping. My other mulberry, the Pakistani mulberry, it's faring pretty good in spite of the frost damage that we had. So it's really decided to come back. And maybe there's a couple small fruits on it. Nothing special though. Not like it was loaded down earlier in the year. I mean, that thing was loaded down and then we got a frost. So a little disappointing to miss out on some of that, but that's okay. This year it can focus on growth. Here is a hibiscus for Rob Bob. That was a really good suggestion on his part. He's down in Australia. Thanks, Rob Bob. I like the hibiscus addition here to the food forest. And then this top upper swale garden fans, this is just, this is mature, and this is really companion planting at its finest. And every tree I got up here has some sort of companion plant. Persimmon has this ground cover of mint with fava beans and parsley. And then as a shrub layer, of course, there's this blackberry hedge on the downhill side of all my trees. And I use cages to just train my blackberry vines too. And inside those cages are veggies growing, annual veggies. I filled up those cages with compost and with yard clippings throughout the year. And then I'm just gonna plant in them so I can get some annual veggies as well. So a nice little secret garden up here, and it works. I want to tell you, I want to really quickly explain why it works. So every tree, every plant here occupies a different soil strata, I'll call it. So my tree layer, this peach tree here, it's going to put down roots that are 2, maybe even 3 feet deep. Now the shrub layer, the herb layer here, this catnip, its root system really is only going to go about 5 or 6 inches deep. That's if that. So the tree is not going to compete with the herb because their root structures live at different areas. They're different depths. Now the comfrey, it has a really deep taproot, but I've planted it far enough away from the tree that it's not going to really compete but be a benefit. So its deep taproot is going to dig deep down. It's going to pull up nutrients from the subsoil. I can then chop and drop the leaves and fertilize my tree. And then my shrub layer, the blackberries. Blackberries probably only have a root system that's 8 or 9 inches deep. They don't really put a deep root system down, so these blackberries will never compete with my trees. Here's a pawpaw tree that's very slowly coming back to life. So companion planting works because all the plants in these guilds live in different root zones, so they never compete with each other. Now the only thing that competes with my blackberries is going to be other brambles. So the wild blackberries that come through here don't really make it, so they get choked out by the other brambles. And the only thing that's going to compete with my trees is obviously going to be other trees. So that's why the whole idea of companion planting works. Another pawpaw here. I've got so many pawpaws this year that are coming up, and because it got hot early this year, they're really progressing fast. This guy's got of course, more comfrey and fava beans with it, as well as some more nitrogen fixation in the back with an autumn olive. Lots of stuff going on here, garden fans. There's food everywhere. In that cage, there's another pawpaw. Let me gloss over the rabbit poop veggie plot, because boom, in just a week, you know, last week's update did not look like this. What happened, right? So in just a week, my buckwheat has really blown up. It's starting to flower, and this is what I was meaning when I was saying that it's a quick crop. So it'll grow and it'll mature and it'll flower and then it'll die back. And then what's going on with all the corn that's hiding out underneath it, which is a longer season plant and needs like 60 days, it will finally rise up. So right now, this buckwheat is acting as a nurse crop. It's gonna die back. It'll provide a mulch for the corn. And then it just brings potassium to the soil too. So really good, quick cover crop that you can grow with your vegetables. Inside this vegetable patch, of course, I've got beans coming in, squash. This is a traditional Three Sisters garden this year. A lot of corn, beans, squash. I'm letting, you know, some of the weeds grow. Lamb's quarters, which we love, we eat, we add it to salads. More beans through here. I've got other companion plants like borage as a border. And I know there is some nasturtium in here too, which we also eat and add to salads. So my rabbit poop veggie plot, it's got corn, it's got beans, it's got squash. On the very back row here, we've got sunflower coming in. So a lot of sunflower, corn, beans, squash, and then just the companion plants of borage, nasturtium. Really nice plot here. And once again, I like it. It's a great educational tool. It's a standard 6 foot by 3 foot, vegetable bed. And it grows a lot for us during the year. Just annuals though. Quick glossing over the whole food forest. It really looks good, garden fans. I could really, slow down even more and tell you a lot more about what's going on here, but I think I'm gonna end it for the day. We had a great rain last week, and I'm just about at full storage. I do shut all my containers. Obviously, I don't want mosquitoes back here. And the raspberry patch is just about ready to start, producing, almost overproducing. We're gonna have a lot of raspberries this year. So I really appreciate y'all watching. Go ahead, like, share, and subscribe as always. Go check us out on Facebook. I do post garden photos there just about every day now of our daily harvest. And thanks. I appreciate y'all kicking back if you sat here and watched the whole thing. This is a food forest, and you too can grow just like this. So, abundance isn't far away. This is only a 3-year-old food forest, and you could do this too. Appreciate y'all watching. You got any questions, just ask. God bless.